Okay. So, what do you think's the main thing that is holding you back in your swimming?
Breathing,
Yeah.
um, not being able to. Well, I don't know if it would make a huge difference. I feel I would prefer to be breathing on both sides, just
Yeah.
from a point of view of symmetry.
Yeah.
But I know some people say it doesn't make any difference. I don't worry about that, but I kind of would prefer that. So that's one thing. Um, what I what I hope has improved, or will probably show me now that it hasn't, is what I had a massive problem with was crossing over.
Yeah.
And I hope that's got better. You might not know because you didn't see what it was like before. That was really what the things I have concentrated on. I am going to go on to what's holding me back still.
Yeah.
So crossing over, keeping my head still. I was told my head was bobbing around like God knows what. So those are two things that I'm sure they're still not as they should be. I think my head probably needs to be further down. I need to be looking down at the bottom of the pool more than I am.
Yeah.
When I look down at the bottom of the pool, I can feel my body position get better. So why I don't stay like that, I don't know. I seem to have this idea that I'm going to knock into somebody all the time, and I've got to be looking ahead, and I'm lifting my head up. That's what I feel like I'm doing. So it's body position, combined with the breathing. The breathing's not good. I'm gasping for air on this left-hand side, or it feels like I am. And also the kicking, I'm not sure when I should be kicking or how much I should be kicking. A bit easier in open water because the wetsuit I've got at the moment don't seem to need to kick much at all.
Yeah.
But that's no good in the pool. I've got to be able to kick.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Okay.
that's pretty much everything really. I think it could be anything right really.
And you said you got seen by somebody, how long ago was that?
That was February last year.
Okay.
And the main thing he identified was the crossing over.
Yeah.
And the head position really, I think. Those were the main, because he said to me, which is understandable, he said, you've just got to pick the most important thing and concentrate on that.
Yeah.
At that time. Obviously this time last year, well not this time, it was February last year, I didn't have a huge goal in place. I did have a race in place indeed, but it wasn't such a big deal as this one. So it wasn't so crucial. But obviously, yeah. So those were the things I went away. And to be honest, I'd had a bit of video analysis thinking about it the year before, the summer before. I think so that was in 2013. On a weekend thing I went on, and actually I think, if I'm honest with that, the feedback I got with him in the February was really identical to the feedback I'd had the year before. But then I hadn't really done any work on it.
How often do you swim?
Well, now I'm swimming. I have been swimming 3 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes 4 times a week, but with no real direction.
Yeah.
As I've explained to you, I was hoping to get a programme over the winter to work with, and I sort of failed miserably on that. So I had a one-to-one session with the club coach, in January. He showed me a few things to do, but he promises a lot and doesn't deliver. Well, no, he doesn't, and he's coaching half the club one-to-one at the moment for world championships and God knows what, So let's be honest, I'm at the bottom of the pecking order.
Maybe he's got too much to do already.
He's already got too much to do. So, he is coaching a lot of people one-to-one. I mean, I haven't asked him to coach me one-to-one because to be honest, after I paid him for that one-to-one session in January, and he didn't get back to me with what he promised. Because I said to him, what I'd like to do is have another session at the end of February. Maybe that was February. No, that was February. Mid-February. I'd like 2 more sessions before the open water season. Which I was prepared to pay for. But hopeless. So gave up with it. But yeah, he was very pleased. He could see that I've improved a lot. But he said. The things he told me, it was mainly drills he gave me, but the problem with it, this is different, it's been recorded, but it's all very well giving you drills to do, and then you go, and unless you have some follow-up, even something on pack, you just really struggle to remember.
Yeah, and the thing with drills is that it's very easy to do the drills incorrectly. It's important that you're doing the drills correctly, otherwise you're drilling yourself to do something wrong, ultimately.
Exactly.
So you need to be seen almost doing the drills and getting to know what your body should feel like in the correct position when you're doing the drills in order to improve the swim. Otherwise, you're kind of not making any progress. You're just doing incorrect drills, training your body to hold the wrong shape almost,
Yeah. So
But all the things that you've said there sound about right. So breathing, head position, crossover, body position, and kicking, all those kind of things. And what the chap said that you went to see before, in terms of dealing with one or two aspects at a time, is quite right, because you can only target one or two things at a time. Otherwise, it does get confusing, and you just can't. Your brain can't compute. When you're swimming, you can't try and think of more than one or two. Yeah. Otherwise, it does become so difficult. You end
somebody
up
said
not
it's a bit
doing
like
anything very
I
well.
mean, I've had one golf lesson, but apparently it's a bit like playing golf. They say
Yeah.
swimming, you can only focus on one or two things at a time.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it'll all just
And we've got like a correction kind of hierarchy that we work to. So what I mean by that is there's a certain order that things need to be addressed in, because very often, say you've got a poor catch and pull stroke, say a poor catch, a poor arm entry, that you could work on that directly, but what actually might be causing that is poor body positioning. What might be causing that is poor breathing, lifting your head too high. So if you fix your head position, fix your breathing, it might improve your body position, which might improve your catch, because you're in a better you're setting yourself up better to take the catch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the first thing we'll do is we'll play it through, and we'll have a chat as it goes through. And the first thing I'm looking at really is your head positioning. Okay, see what kind of rhythm you've got to your stroke as well. Has anyone ever spoken to you about your stroke rate? The amount of strokes you take per length or per minute? No? Okay.
No. I've got all that data though, because on that swim tag thing, that is recorded every swim.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'll just pause it there.
Well,
The first thing that struck me is you've got quite a slow stroke rate. Now, swimming has two major component parts. There's drag, so things slowing you down, and propulsion, things speeding you up. Okay, so obviously we need to look at reducing drag, and we need to look at increasing propulsion. Okay, stroke rate, clearly, if you've got an outboard motor and it's going really slowly, it only goes at a fairly slow speed. If you turn up the speed, turn up the motor, and things are turning over more quickly, then it does generate more speed. Okay, so your stroke rate is directly related to your speed. So that's something we can look at some point. Your stroke rate is around about 50 strokes a minute. It could do with being a bit higher than that. How high is something that would have to be looked at and have to work on. And it's almost one step ahead. But I just thought I'd mention that now, just to see if anyone's mentioned it to you at this point. So it's interesting that no one's picked up on that.
Well, is that linked to, like, if you were to count the number of strokes you did from one end of the pool to the other, is that to do with stroke rate then?
So
is that something different?
So you're talking more about your stroke length.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two things are linked. Two things are linked. So there's the length of the stroke. So how long literally each stroke is from between strokes. And then what I'm more talking about here is the frequency of the arm turnover, a bit like cadence on a bike. So how often you're actually taking those strokes, not so much the length of each one. So
I think it's because I've had it drilled into me with him breaking everything down and doing everything really slowly, and doing that catch-up drill, which I've stopped doing now. But I think that's just slowed me down even more.
Yeah, well, that can sometimes happen.
And I'm thinking every stroke I do, I'm trying to think about what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Rather than just going.
Yeah. And what can happen is you can end up, which we'll have a look at in a minute, with a bit of a pause in your stroke, where there's no propulsion there at all.
Yeah, no, I can feel that.
Well,
and that is why, and when I say that people would understand this, but that is why when it came to that race, I tried to do front crawl, and and I gave up because I can swim breaststroke faster.
Yeah.
Because I can swim breaststroke,
Yeah.
and I know I can. So in a race situation, in a pool, I'm going to do what's fastest, aren't I?
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all,
yeah. Okay,
it's
no,
a no-brainer, don't you think?
absolutely. Let's carry on playing it through. First of all, you mentioned bilateral breathing. Yeah, you're only breathing to one side. We do recommend that, particularly when you're training, you do bilaterally breathe because it does balance up the stroke,
Can't do it.
which is something we'll come to in a minute.
Try.
Got a nice high elbow when you breathe.
I've got a high elbow on one side.
Yeah.
And I know about this. My left elbow is high, and I'm thinking about it. Also, my right.
And then on the right, you're kind of swinging around a bit more.
The right's rubbish.
These things would start to improve once you start to balance out your stroke. So, on the way back then, I'm just having a look at the head position. So ideally, we want to be seeing one goggle in, one goggle out. So you're lifting your head and you're gasping. Yeah. Now, when you're gasping for air, or when you're breathing every stroke, and I can see this. What I'm looking at in a minute is what's happening when you're exhaling, because very often people feel if you're holding your breath when you're swimming, you're holding all that air in your lungs, and you're not releasing it. If you release it too late into the stroke, you're almost having to breathe out and breathe in one go. So you have got less time to breathe in, which means you're, because you're going out in one go.
When you're trying to breathe in.
So ideally, and again we'll look at this in a minute. When you exhale under the water, constant exhalation. When you turn your head to breathe, you should already be fully exhaled, so you've got more time to breathe in. What it does is it causes a build-up of CO2, and over time that kind of it makes you feel more anxious, slightly more stressed. It's not a relaxed way of getting your oxygen, and ultimately this is where you say because you got tired in the warm-up and you get sense you get frustrated with it. It all kind of stems back to the breathing and the relaxation. So that for me is number one for us to look at. Okay. But these are great. These are good things that we can see here, and we can do things to work on it, drills to work on it, and it's something that we can look at as you progress. Okay, so continue to play it through. So arm entry, it's coming down a little bit flat, and we'll look at that again in a bit more detail. And your other arm is coming over, and you do have this. It doesn't show it particularly well there. We'll have a look in a minute. You do have a little bit of a catch-up to your stroke, and that's caused by having a bit of a pause. Which, when we find some more.
I've paused by doing that drill for so long.
Yeah. Okay, so from above, people are always horrified when they see themselves from above. The side-on view, the poolside view, normally looks all right. People go, I'm quite happy with that. As soon as you put the camera above, there's no hiding. Okay. Now you mentioned crossing over before.
You're going to show me how to do it.
I know I can tell you're not finding this very comfortable, but this
it's got to be done.
This is what we're here for.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. I can take it. That's what I'm paying for.
Okay.
That's what I'm paying for. No, that's fine.
So
it's quite good because you can look at the black line there.
Yeah.
It's almost like the centre line.
So ideally, if you think about it, you want to be swimming through a tube almost, or swimming along tram lines. So we want to be having everything going forwards, pointing in the direction of travel. Okay. Anything that kind of goes anything other than forward, points out sideways, goes backwards, or anything else like that, is slowing you down, or is causing drag, which is slowing you down. Okay, so just play this through, and your arms and legs, of course, are linked. So if you cross over, for example, on one side, then your legs are going to counterbalance and split apart. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, is we've got our lead arm still here. Yeah. This is the little dead spot pause I was talking about. And when I mentioned stroke rate before, when we start looking at stroke rate, you can work with a beeper, and it gets you used to getting more of a rhythm to your stroke, and it will help you with your dead spots and any pauses in your stroke. So we've got the front end pausing here, the lead arm pausing, and the recovering arm is now coming in. Now, it's obviously, as you can see, is coming in that way. Okay, rather than straight ahead. Okay?
Well, it shouldn't be going down.
So if I show you,
It should be straight ahead. Of course it should.
if I show you,
Oh.
no, that's not connecting up. Let me just pause that for a second. I'll go and get my hard drive.